Hi guys, welcome to my kitchen. I am going to go over today how to make tracking your food super simple, help you with the difficult parts of it so that hopefully you can track your calories or proteins, fibers, whatever it is that you're tracking for your goals. It can be simple and not stress you out. Okay, so the first thing that you need is an app like MyFitnessPal. So there are other apps that you can track your calories and your foods in. Use whichever one you like. I just use MyFitnessPal because it is the most widely known, and working with multiple clients, it helps to have the familiarity of an app like MyFitnessPal. So download something like that. And then a digital food scale is going to make your life a whole lot easier, as well as just make you a lot more accurate with what you are tracking. So you can get these digital food scales from Walmart, Target, Amazon, probably any local grocery store or something like that, and they're relatively cheap. You definitely can track food with just like measuring cups, but having a digital food scale makes it more accurate, of course, and it just makes it a lot easier, which I'm going to show you. So we're going to go over the basics, weighing your proteins, your fruits, veggies, liquids, and then also whenever you are cooking a recipe, I'm going to help you guys see how to put the entire recipe into MyFitnessPal, and then as you eat on that recipe, make it easy to measure it out. For example, we made last night white chicken chili. So that's kind of a mixture between chili and soup. And so a lot of people, when they start trying to eat healthier or diet, they are, cooking more at home, which is great. But then they're like so frustrated because, well, now I have this meal that I cooked that has 10 ingredients and I have no idea how to take each individual one out and measure it or know how much I ate. So I'm going to show you how to make that pretty seamless. So let's start off with protein and vegetables, just some of the basics. Okay, so for my lunch today, we are doing ground beef and sweet potato bowls. So we're going to start with this. So I've got some ground beef here, and I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil to cook that in. So I'm going to start off with not forgetting to measure my oils that I'm cooking with. So that's a big thing that I think a lot of people forget about. So zero out your scale. You're going to put your oil in its container on your scale. Zero it out now, actually. Okay, use as much as you need. My lid is broken. Just a little bit, and then stick it back on there, and you're going to get a negative read. So mine says negative 3 grams. So I just used 3 grams, and I didn't have to measure that out into a spoon. So much easier.
Okay, so stick your entire container on there. Now zero it out, so you should have a 0 reading. Then use your oil, however much you need. Bring it back to your scale, and you should have a negative reading of however much you used. You can do this with other things too. I like to use it on like peanut butter, for instance.
Okay, then from there, I'm going to cook my meat, and then after this is cooked, we'll measure it. Okay, so we're going to start with weighing some sweet potatoes. I meal prepped these yesterday, but a little note before we do, we typically weigh most things in grams. It's just more accurate. You can go into your app like MyFitnessPal and change your measurement. So it can be grams for things like fruits, vegetables, proteins as well. You could also measure your proteins or meats out in ounces. If you have liquids, you change it to milliliters. So just pay attention there, but most of the time you're going to be measuring out in grams.
So always remember, whenever you put your bowl or container that you're going to measure in on your scale, the next thing you're going to do before you add food is always zero that out, and then add all of your food. And then this is already set to grams for me, so we have 191 grams of sweet potatoes. Let's go ahead and open up our MyFitnessPal app or whatever food tracking app that you are using. MyFitnessPal looks like this whenever you open it. This is the dashboard. So we'll go through some of these pages. That little blue plus at the bottom, you can click that and then just go ahead and search your food that you're wanting to look up. And then you'll select the meal at the top that it goes to if you want. Or you can go back to the dashboard, go all the way over to the right, click more. This is where you just see more, of course. Like if you wanted to change your goals, like your calorie goals, your macro goals, you would go in here down to goals, and then you can click calories, carbs, proteins, fats. And then this is where you can customize what calories or macros that you want. This is where I would suggest to work with a coach to get an accurate number. Okay, let's go back to that dashboard though. So I'm going to go into diary. This is where I am most often in MyFitnessPal. Click on diary and then you can kind of see your day. I don't have anything in yet, but I just went ahead and clicked breakfast, and let's put in those sweet potatoes that we just weighed out. So I try to be pretty specific. So I'm going to type in sweet potatoes baked because I just baked those. You could say roasted probably. The things with the green check mark have apparently been verified, so typically they're a little bit more accurate, but look at it, make sure it makes sense before you click on it. And I'm just going to click this one that has 1 gram. That way it's already in grams, kind of easy enough from how I have measured it. So I'm going to click into that, and then I am going to input that we had 161 grams of sweet potatoes, I think. And then we just clicked that arrow button over to save it, and we see everything that we have for the day. Now we are going to measure out that ground beef that we cooked. So again, zero out your scales. I'm making little meal preps here. So put all of that meat in there. Now this is set to grams right now, but I'm going to change it. So we have CR grams. You can input it like that. That's totally fine. Or if you want to change your unit to ounces, you can do that also. And then we can go input that into MyFitnessPal too. While we're at it and we have the scale out, let's look at a liquid. So if I want to measure out milk, my scale has fluid ounces and it also has milliliters. So just depending on what you're measuring and what is most accurate or what you're looking for, you can change those units pretty easily there also. Okay, back to MyFitnessPal to track that ground beef that we just measured out. So again, I clicked on breakfast. Of course, you could click on whichever meal you are tracking for. Make sure, especially with things like ground beef, that you're specific with the fat content. So I used 90-10 ground beef, and I measured it cooked. So again, putting that cooked in there. And then you can look down through, see what looks the most accurate. So this one, the serving size is at 3 ounces. I'm gonna click that serving size number and just change it to 1 ounce at a time. That way I don't have to do the math of like how many servings it was. That way I can just put that 6.5 ounces in, since we did have a total of 6.5 ounces. Okay. When you're in the diary section also of MyFitnessPal, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, click that nutrition button, it will show you all of the nutrients that you have so far for the day. So there you see how much protein, carbs, fat, fiber, all of that I have, what my goal is, and then what I have left to eat in that day. So that's really helpful.
Okay, lastly, let's talk about how to input recipes or difficult recipes, homemade recipes, whatever you may have, into MyFitnessPal, and then how to know, if it's 10 servings of soup, how much each bowl is. Okay, so you are going to take all of your ingredients as you make your soup or your chili or whatever recipe that may be, and weigh it out. So if you're adding chicken, you're going to weigh that chicken out, and you're going to put it into MyFitnessPal as I had 10 ounces of raw, boneless, skinless chicken breast, right? And then I had 2 cups of bone broth. I had 400 grams of kidney beans. Whatever it is that is going into your recipe, make sure you take notes of that, whether it's on a sticky note or you're putting it into MyFitnessPal as you go. Either way. Okay, so you have all of those individual ingredients and amounts written down. So you make your soup. Let's imagine we have our soup here and it's all done. So you're going to get a separate container, something that will hold all of the recipe that you just made. And then you are going to put that container on your scale, zero out your scale, and you are going to put all of your recipe into that container, and you're going to see overall how many grams that is. So make sure you're weighing it in grams, okay? So then you can transfer that back to its original pot. You can put it in meal prep containers. You can spoon it out into bowls, whatever you want to do then, okay? But now you have your overall grams, and in your recipe portion of MyFitnessPal, you are going to put in all those ingredients, and then you are going to go in and say however many grams it was is how many servings you have. Okay, that's not accurate, but now whenever you get your bowl out that you're actually going to eat, you're going to imagine this is a smaller bowl, but you're going to put your bowl on your scale, zero it out, make sure it's on grams, pour your one serving into your bowl. Then you can pick that recipe out of MyFitnessPal and say it was 300 grams for that one bowl. You're going to say that you ate 300 servings, and that is going to make it even with what you put in as the whole recipe. Okay, so now you don't have to guess, like, well, maybe the soup that I made was 4 servings. I don't know. Now you have a very accurate amount down to the gram, and then you can go in and put exactly how many grams of that you ate.
Okay, let me show you what I just talked about in MyFitnessPal. So open that up, go all the way to the right, click on More, click on Recipes, Add Manually. Okay, so let's say that we're making just a general chili. Okay, so you're going to type in your recipe name. For right now, I'm just going to put 1 serving because we are going to measure this and put it the entire grams of the recipe as the servings. So right now, just put 1. Then click Add Ingredients, type in all of your ingredients. So we'll come up with a few that may be in chili, kidney beans. I'm going to click canned. You can just choose 1 can, but I'm going to change that serving size to grams so I can be really specific. I would pour my can into a bowl or something on my scale so that I would know exactly how many grams I had. So let's say we have 200. And then we're going to add some beef. Let's add some ground beef to that as well. Again, let's make sure to be specific with the fat content. Now, if I just opened like a 1 pound pack of ground beef, I could choose this raw option right here. So that's what I'm going to do this time. Raw, let's say I just have that 1 whole pound of ground beef. So I'm going to look at these serving sizes, 4 ounces. So I'm going to put 4 servings of 4 ounces, putting me at 1 pound. And then let's add one more thing. Let's do canned tomatoes. Okay, can of crushed tomatoes. Just like the kidney beans, I personally would weigh this out in grams versus just saying 1 can. It totally depends on your goals. If you are counting every calorie, I would do it this way. If you are just kind of trying to get a general idea of what you're putting into your body, just pick a can. It's not all that serious. Okay, now that you have all of your ingredients in there, you're going to click that little arrow to go to the right. This is going to show you your total calories, fats, carbs, protein, and you can change your serving size. So let's say I just dumped all of my chili into a different bowl on my scale to see how many grams total that entire recipe weighs. So let's say that it weighs 652 grams, all of it, everything that I just made. Okay, so I'm putting that as my serving size. Save that. Now, let's say I'm ready to just eat my bowl, my single serve bowl. Okay, I'm going to put my bowl on my scale. I'm going to zero my scale out. And then I am going to get however much chili I want to eat right now, weigh out in my bowl. Okay, so I will go into MyFitnessPal, click onto my recipes, choose that chili recipe that I just input. And let's say that my 1 serving in my bowl that I'm going to eat right now was 275 grams. Okay, so I'm going to go change that number of servings to 275 and save it. And then down there you can see total calories, proteins, fats, carbs, and all of that. And then it is in for our dinner. And that is added to our diary for our food for today.
Okay, guys, I hope that this really helped you to understand tracking your food a little bit better. Another thing I want to add is that whenever you do have one of these food tracking apps like MyFitnessPal or something, whenever you sign up for it, it initially is going to ask you some questions and try to give you a calorie goal based on your weight, height, age, maybe your goals. I forget all of the questions that it's going to ask you, but it's going to try to give you a calorie number to follow. Don't follow that too strictly. I typically find that those calorie apps really underestimate how many calories you need, and it truly is just individual. So try to talk to a coach, whether that is myself or you have your own coach, and make sure that you really are at that target calorie amount if counting calories is your goal. If you're kind of just in there to see what you're eating or to track a protein goal that's given to you by a coach, then it doesn't matter so much. But I do find a lot of people coming to me and saying, okay, I set up MyFitnessPal, but it's telling me to only eat 1,500 calories a day, and you told me to eat 1,950 calories a day. So what do I do? And we as coaches truly have more insight of what you need than these apps do. It's really just a general configuration that they have. So don't put a lot of weight in what that says. But any questions, concerns that you guys have, please comment below. Or I would love for you to go follow me also over on my Instagram at Lauren McFit. And over there, you can send me a DM. You can find the link in my bio to coach with me or to do coaching with me or to ask questions, anything and more information, helpful tips over there. But thank you guys so much for being on my YouTube channel. Whether you found this on your own or whether I sent this to you as a client to help you out with your food tracking, I appreciate you being here and best of luck.